Hello, everybody. How are you today on this glorious day or evening, whatever it is, wherever you are? Welcome to another Bad Comic Review stream. I believe this is number 39. How's everybody out there? Hey, nobody, not me. History Mantine. Hey, Della. Hope you guys are doing awesome. How's everybody else in chat doing? You guys doing awesome out there? Hope you are. So I'm really tired, but we have a bunch of articles to go over because kind of wanted to stream some more. And yeah, well, I haven't done one of these in like 2 weeks, so probably about time I did a stream. Hey, See No Evil, how you doing? All right, so let's take a look. Hey, Evolved, how you doing? Saying hi and leaving a like. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have fun doing whatever grown-up stuff you're doing. It's probably pretty awesome. So we'll start out with a comic book resources article, a rumor about Y the Last Man. And this is from 8 hours ago. If my script buttons will work. All right, so Y the Last Man may get a second season thanks to Disney. I don't know why they're bothering, quite frankly. FX on Hulu's Y the Last Man may be revived by Disney after being canceled in its first season. According to a report from Streamer, they couldn't even be bothered to spell that right, so not super reliable. Disney is considering developing more episodes of Y the Last Man and rebranding it as a Hulu or Disney Plus original. This is said to be part of Disney's plan to reassess its content production with the aim of serving a wider audience. They have to. They have no choice. And they need more content because their little dribs and drabs of one show is just not doing them any favors. Their content is very stagnant. Although the company tends to release its original shows on a weekly basis, Streamer also suggests Disney may choose to release a new season all at once, a model made popular by Netflix, which does seem to be a more popular format. Why the Last Man's cancellation had nothing to do with its viewership figures, I find that statement suspect, but instead was a result of the cast contracts expiring. Some cast members, such as Diane Lane and Amber Tamblyn, originally joined the show in 2018, but the departure of the original showrunners in April 2019 delayed production. With the coof and lockdowns holding things up even further, the already extended options for the show cast expired on October 15th, and FX chose not to renew. They didn't want to pay the money. But I have a feeling it was because their viewership sucked. The news of the cancellation came even before they finished airing season 1. Showrunner Liza Clark quickly expressed her desire to continue telling the story. They changed so much of it, I don't understand the point. Like, originally, everyone with a specific chromosome was wiped out. That was all the men. And now they're catering to the trans community by saying trans women are, people that were men when they were born and became women are still around too. So there's still sperm floating around. Hey, Camel, how you doing? Hey, Viking Buddha. So this is dumb premise. They changed to the point where it's ludicrous and unrealistic. It is based on the DC Vertigo comic of the same name. HBO Max has also been suggested. Both HBO Max and DC are owned by the same parent company, Warner Media, and HBO Max already airs several shows based on DC properties. I don't think HBO Max can afford this. The payoff just isn't there. There's no real reason to do this show. And the casting choices were weird to begin with, but the changes they made just make no sense within the continuity of the original story. And quite frankly, at this point, the edginess of the story is pretty well past its prime. So I think this is a giant waste of time. And it is just a rumor, and I think that's all it's going to be. They're testing the waters to see reaction. I don't think they're going to get the response they're hoping for. It just didn't have enough there. And the budget was pretty clearly low. And some of it looked kind of rushed. So, yeah, I'm not too excited about that news. So let's move over to that was that level of excitement. Let's jump over to ICV2 and talk some comic news. Oni-Lion Forge adds Lunar for distro. We'll continue with Diamond and SAS as well. The Oni-Lion Forge publishing group has added Lunar to its list of distributors effective immediately going forward. Oni Press, Lion Forge, and Lemerence Press comics and graphic novels will be distributed to the direct market by both Diamond comic distributors and Lunar, while Simon & Schuster will continue to distribute their graphic novels to the book channel. Oni Press titles will be released by Lunar and Simon & Schuster on Tuesdays and by Diamond on Wednesdays. Lunar will start with a limited selection of Oni titles and move toward offering the full backlist and front list. This is not that big of a deal because, quite frankly, this company is tiny and has been shrinking for some time. Lion Forge ended up getting bought up by Oni Press, and they just kind of merged out of necessity for both of them. Hey, JMK, how you doing, man? Hey, Peter. The Hollywood will produce a project in which everyone is involved, is there for reasons other than their ability to do the job. Yeah, good luck with that. That day is several years ago. You're not wrong. That's far behind us now. It's all politics and nonsense bullshit. Oni is Lunar's the fifth publisher? No, it's the fifth publisher to join distribution by Lunar, which was formed last year to handle DC's direct market distribution because Diamond shut down and refused to ship books or pay people. So DC went to a comic store, effectively, one of the bigger ones, and they had their own distribution set up, and they went with that. The other Lunar publishers are Z2, Scout, and Ahoy Comics. I've never heard of Z2 offhand. Scout, really tiny. Ahoy Comics, very tiny. And of course, DC is pretty big still, but even they are pared way down compared to what they were. With the addition of Lunar as one of our distribution partners, we are thrilled to offer new options and opportunities to the comic book specialty market. Oni Press publisher James Lucas Jones said in an announcement, Lunar shares our dedication to continue to grow this important market together. Well, somebody should be, because I think Jeppy's losing interest and he's aging. So if Diamond is on the rocks like it looks like they are, there better be another distribution source for books. And Lunar does a pretty decent job. So good seeing you too, man. So yeah, I think that's a survival move by Oni, but I don't think that's going to really help them any because their books aren't that good. They're not that compelling or interesting, and they tried doing this thing with Gail Simone a while back, but she doesn't have the following she thinks she does. Let's touch on something that happened while I was gone for a few days. This is from the Daily Mail. All of Amazon Web Services go down, taking huge part of the internet with it. Alexa, Ring, Disney Plus, Tinder, Venmo, and Prime Video all crash in cloud server outage. Now, I haven't been hearing a whole lot of people talk about this. Maybe it's been going around. I just missed it because I've been so busy, but it's kind of weird that everybody's relying on Amazon to this level. I thought some of these companies would have their own servers. Amazon and all of its services have crashed across the globe, knocking out other popular websites like Tinder. Oh, dear God, people can't hook up and spread venereal disease. Oh, noes. And Venmo, is that even really a big thing? That rely on the company's cloud servers and affecting thousands of customers. The platform, Amazon Music and Prime Video, Alexa, Ring, and Amazon Web Services, which offers a series of services for online applications, all started experiencing problems at 10:40 a.m. Eastern. Amazon officials said they've identified the root cause of the problem and are working to fix it. Amazon said the outage was likely due to issues related to application programming interface, which is a set of protocols for building and integrating application software. We're experiencing API and console issues on the U.S. East 1 region, Amazon said in a report on its service health dashboard. That's a weird. Okay, whatever. I'm not a tech person. The Amazon Web Services outage is far worse than the others because it provides cloud computing services to individuals, universities, governments, and companies around the world. The outage has impacted a wide variety of services provided worldwide, among them Chime, Cash App, Capital One, GoDaddy, the Associated Press, Instacart, Kindle, and Roku. Some users also reported issues with Disney Plus, but the app appeared to be back online just before 1 p.m. in New York, so it is only out for a few hours. Amazon website is down for at least 20,000 users in the US, but others say the app and ability to check out carts is also not working properly, frustrating those attempting to buy Christmas gifts. But look at this outage area. That's actually a pretty big chunk of the major regions of the country. Like New Mexico dodged a bullet, I guess, but these are all low population states, with the exception of New Mexico. But Nevada doesn't have that big of a population either. So it really hit a lot of important stuff. Down Detector, a site that monitors online outages, shows North America, parts of Europe, and Asia are all experiencing issues. As of 12:35 p.m., the site showed more than 28,000 issues reported with Amazon Web Services. They say they figured it out. The crash comes with just 18 days until Christmas. So many people are currently purchasing gifts, but they will have to wait a little longer to fulfill their holiday list. Those bastards. And many consumers have flocked to Twitter to share their frustration. They're just whining. Amazon is down. The war on Christmas has begun. Yeah, that's actually a fair assessment. Well, Moonchild is upset. The platform crashed right in the middle of their Christmas shopping. Well, maybe should have done it earlier. I mean, come on, it's already like the 9th. How hard is it to go buy somebody a gift card, really? Some users are also having issues with Amazon Music, which makes sense. Which some customers pay $16 a month to access. You got to expect that this is going to happen. It was only down for a few hours. Quit bitching. The Jeff Bezos funded company was one of hundreds of websites around the world that went down on June 8th. Others were CNN, New York Times, Spotify, PayPal, Reddit, the White House, and the British government. So it's not the first time. And it probably won't be the last. But it does make me wonder if this wasn't like a coordinated attack, since they're purposely just kind of saying it was the API. And that's very vague. So, yeah, I wonder if this was some sort of attempt at ransomware or something. Hey, Tyrai, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. But it was either that or some programmer just lost their job because they fucked up so bad. Hey, Assassin, how you doing, man? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Yeah, I'm a shill, so tiny channels have to whore themselves out. If you want to support the show, you can drop me a Streamlabs at the link pinned at the top of your chat. I also just dropped it. So, yeah, there's that too. All right, let's move on to... let's go with... let's do some sad news, get stuff out of the way. America's Got Talent star J.J. Phillips is dead at 30. The rocker was battling the coof. This is from Fox News. Musician best known for competing on America's Got Talent has died from the coop. He was 30 years old. His band confirmed the news on Friday on social media. It's great sadness that we inform you of the loss of our bandmate, brother, and friend, JJ Rocks. Still doesn't feel real, and we would give anything to change it. Please respect the family as well as our wishes to take time and grieve and process this detrimental loss. So I'm not that familiar with who this person is, but yeah, it's pretty sad. 30 is really young, and that's a really sad thing to see. So yeah, if you were a big fan of the show, then sorry, but I got some bad news for you. Let me pull something else up here, because that's not the only sad news today. And as soon as my internet works, come on. All the dramatic potential is gone. Stupid, crappy internet. Yeah, I don't like my internet. It's very slow. I had to go get a new remote control for my dad from the same. He has the same internet provider, so I was over at his house, and he needed a new TV remote. So guess who had to go do it? No big deal, right? I was in there for an hour to get a new remote control, and you have no idea how angry I was at that fact. That was enraging. But anyway, this was not the only person to die from America's Got Talent. Contestant Skylar Hicks died at 23 today. She looks like a happy young girl, but I guess she was troubled. Former America's Got Talent contestant Skylar Hicks died Monday, December 6th at the age of 23, TMZ reports. The singer-songwriter's mom, Jody, told the site that Hicks was found dead at a friend's home in Liberty, South Carolina. She also shared that the young artist had struggled with mental health issues and substance abuse. In the case report provided to Billboard by the Pickens County Sheriff's Office, Officer Dale Morgan noted that he arrived at the home to assist emergency medical services on a possible overdose. The report also indicated that Hicks was dead on arrival, and there was no transport. Her death is still active investigation. Toxicological reports are pending. Billboard has reached out to America's Got Talent for comment. Hicks appeared on season 8 of NBC's talent competition in 2013 when she was only 14. During her audition, she shared that she had been performing a song she wrote in memory of her father, who died a few years earlier. He made some bad decisions. I hadn't seen him in a few years, she told judges Mel B, Heidi Klum, and Howard Stern. How to get Roger Stern out of that? That's a comic book writer. I am tired. And Howie Mandel at the time. Last time I saw him, I remember driving away and he was crying. My heart is sad and filled with sorrow. I know this, hope for a better tomorrow. That's the song lyrics. Hicks moved to the Las Vegas round where she performed Second Chance. She's survived by her mother and 4 siblings. That is horrible. 23 years old. Died of a possible drug overdose. That's awful. But 2 America's Got Talent people dying in such a short time of each other. That's pretty sad. Tells you kind of a lot about how awful Hollywood is. Like, this guy's family told him to go to the hospital, but he declined. Later, they found him dead in his home. His dad's on a ventilator. That's pretty fucked up. So this family might lose 2 people out of this. It's tragic. And it wouldn't surprise me if there were some mitigating factors here. Maybe he had a compromised immune system, or he was on drugs too. I don't know. But this girl obviously had some issues. And that's awful to see two young people like that dying. They barely got their lives going. She was only 23. That's really depressing. Flu season is back. Yeah. Hey, Johnny. How you doing, man? Hey, Lesser. Father passed on this year. Is fucked. Oh, sorry, man. Sorry to hear it. Yeah, I hope they're at peace. I don't know if you believe in an afterlife out there, but I'd like to think there's something more for people out there. Let's get the sad shit out of the way, because it's not all. We can't have it all be negative, so we might as well get this crap out of the way. Hey, Pincalo, how you doing, man? Eddie, Mekka, Carmine, and Laverne and Shirley also died at 69. This from CNN. Eddie Mekka who found fame playing Carmine, the Big Ragusa, on the hit series Laverne and Shirley, died Saturday at his home in Newhall, California, according to his Facebook. He was 69. No details for the cause of death were immediately available. He's in that age group. It could have been pretty much anything. He played the love interest on the show. Cindy Williams, who played Shirley, tweeted, "My darling Eddie, a world-class talent who could do it all. I love you dearly. I miss you so much. But oh, the marvelous memories." That show ran from 76 to 83, and looking back on it now, I have no idea how they pulled that miracle off. Massachusetts native Mekka moved to Los Angeles and ended up garnering a Tony nomination for his lead role in The Lieutenant on Broadway in 1975. He had roles on The Love Boat, Family Matters, Guiding Light, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Obviously his best role. CNN has reached out to Mekka's representatives for comment. But yeah, they haven't said anything. I haven't seen any updates on this, but I watched this show as a kid. I was obviously very young, but it was kind of a staple of the era, was Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days. So it's a little surprising that I didn't even know this guy was still alive, quite frankly. But they lost Squiggy a while back, and I think the other guy died too. But yeah, this guy was a staple on TV in the late 70s, early 80s. Arrhythmia, stroke, heart attack, OD on med. Wow, yeah. Hey, Costin, how you doing, man? So yeah, tragic. 69 these days is still pretty young too. So you just never know with the way things are, because that shit, they'll turn people down for cancer treatment because they didn't get that shot. So, but yeah, and we're not done with the sad stuff, because one of my favorite artists, George Perez, announced that he is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This from the Hollywood Reporter. He had an iconic run on Wonder Woman and Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Infinity Gauntlet. The dude is a legend in comics. That not just like he's been around, but he is an amazingly talented man. He's not dead yet, thankfully, but he does have stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And pancreatic cancer, if you don't know, has a very low survival rate. George Perez, a legendary artist known for his work on DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths and Wonder Woman, as well as Marvel's The Avengers and an Infinity Gauntlet, revealed Tuesday that he had been diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. In a Facebook post, Perez wrote that he received the diagnosis November 27th and that the cancer is inoperable. Doctors have given Perez, 67, between 6 months to a year to live. He has opted not to undergo treatment. That's a really tough decision. I've been given the option of chemotherapy and or radiation therapy, but after weighing all the variables and assessing just how much of my remaining days would be eaten up by doctors' visits, treatments, hospital stays, and dealing with the often stressful and frustrating bureaucracy of the medical system, I've opted to just let nature take its course, and I will enjoy whatever time I have left as fully as possible with my family, friends, and fans, Perez wrote. That is a balls to the wall fucking decision. But yeah, he's not wrong. Radiation and chemo takes a massive toll on the human body, and It's pretty ugly, especially with something like pancreatic cancer. And if it's inoperable, it's not going to do him a whole lot of good. Might buy him a few extra weeks, but you count all the time that you would be in doctor's appointments and recovering from chemo, and you have to decide if it's even worth it. The artist, who's been married for more than 40 years, holy shit, good job, is planning on making one last public appearance to meet with fans and will continue signing autographs. He retired in January 2019 due to health issues. Yeah, he's old as shit. Perez became a star artist in the 70s and 80s with an influential run on DC's New Teen Titans, leading him to work on Crisis on Infinite Earths, a generation-defining crossover event that still resonates today. That it was one of the biggest story arcs of that entire era. And if you ever read Crisis, it's a really good story. It was the end of the Silver Age, effectively. They put a little bow on it, rebooted everything. Unfortunately, it's been attempted to be imitated many times, and it just never has been. That was an event for the entire Copper Age, or Bronze Age, whatever the fuck they're calling it now, the 80s. A new generation defining crossover event that still exists today. Perez's shadow looms large over comic book films, and his work helping inspire such films as Avengers, Infinity War, and Wonder Woman. Filmmakers such as Wonder Woman's Patty Jenkins have cited him as an influence on their work. This is not a message I enjoyed writing. Who would want to write their own obit? Especially during the holiday season, but oddly enough, I'm feeling the Christmas spirit now more than I have in many years. Yeah, being told that you might be dying puts your life in perspective pretty fast, I assure you. Perez wrote in concluding his message, maybe it's because it will likely be my last, or maybe because I am enveloped in the loving arms of so many people who love me as much as I love them. It's quite uplifting to be told you've led a good life and that you've brought joy to so many lives, and you'll be leaving this world a better place because you were a part of it. Yeah, good for him. That's a really tough decision, and I have great respect for that. Wouldn't do chemo again unless the percentages were near certain. Yeah, it's rough, man. I've seen that firsthand, and it's dramatic what it does. And I would respect anyone that makes this kind of choice, because that is not an easy decision. Hey, Evil Ferret. Bankruptcy without medical insurance, yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is, Duck Dog. It's a very brave thing to come to terms with your own mortality. Hey, Angela, how you doing? So yeah, I respect that. That's awful. He's a very talented artist, and it's a real shame. I was sad when he retired, but this makes me real sad because he's only 67, and yeah, being told that you're dying really does make you appreciate your life more. It's a very weird dynamic, but it also puts a lot of things in perspective as to what you find important. And sometimes that realization comes too late. You should try and cherish every day for what it is. Even the boring ones where you really do nothing, do something to remind yourself. Just tell yourself that you're happy to be alive, because there's always something to be happy about. So yeah, that one kind of bugged me because I really like him as an artist, and he seems like a really down-to-earth dude too. So yeah, in other news, let's get off some of the darker shit. We're all gonna die. Yeah, that's the funny thing about life is nobody gets out of it alive. So it's really hard for a lot of people to accept that, though, that to face their own mortality. And if you've never sat around and thought about that because it's too disturbing, it's going to be a real harsh shock when you do have to face it, because that day comes for all of us. And we all go through it alone. And I've not learned to smack someone through the phone. Yeah, that's if you can telekinetically slap people, I would love to learn that skill. I'm banging away on my keyboard with manuscripts. Nice. Yeah, man, make the most of it. Do the things you want to do, man. Don't waste time. time's precious. We don't have that much of it, so you never know when you're going to check out. No one does. So if you want to write a book, write a book. Make the time to do it. I'm talking metaphors with my 6-year-old. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, that's a tough one. Hey Tyler, how you doing? All right. Speaking of celebrities, Bradley Cooper got held up at knife point in New York City and details a traumatic incident, calling it insane. This comes from The Sun. He looks different with his hair done differently. Have you noticed that? Like, I think he's a pretty good actor, but sometimes he looks like a real douchebag. But this hairdo suits him better than the other one. That picture's weird, though, because he's in mid-walk, and it looks like he's about to fart, because it looks like he's lifting this cheek up, and he's eyeballing the camera dude like, yeah, you know what's up. I'm farting. Fuck you, motherfucker. While detailing the traumatic experience, the 46-year-old actor, he's only 46, he looks rough for 46, said he thought he was going to be asked for an autograph or photo and not have a knife shoved at him. Well, how many people expect that? And why does it look like this, whatever these tendrils are grabbing her boobs? At this week's guest on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, that's a thing that exists, Bradley shared that he quickly realized he had gotten way too comfortable in New York City when he found himself being held up at night point at a subway station. New York City's a shithole. It always has been, always will be. It's just getting worse again. It'll be like the 70s soon. For those of you that didn't listen to the 70s, throughout most of that period there, New York City was incredibly dangerous. The later 19th, he said, walk around New York City all the time with the headphones on. This was pre-pandemic. I was on the subway at 11:45 to pick up Leah downtown at Russian school. Russian school? Okay. And I got held up at knife point. It was pretty insane. I realized I'd gotten way too comfortable in the city. Cities aren't safe to begin with, so never let your guard down. Bradley said his guard was down as he hung out at the end of the subway platform, which is where he usually waits. He continued, I felt somebody coming up. I thought, oh, they want to take a photo or something. And as I turned, I'm up against the post like it's the French Connection or some shit. And I turned, I looked down, I see a knife. In shock of all, the A Star is Born actor, that was actually a pretty good remake. Recalled just thinking how the 3-inch long knife looked nice, like it had some history before coming to terms with the situation he was in. Oh, that's a very nice knife. It has some character. Oh my God, he's sticking me up. The scary experience was also a cinematic one of sorts for him, as he could barely hear what was going on around him or if the alleged perpetrator was saying anything because he was listening to music. He explained, so it's scored. The whole thing was scored. I can't remember what I was listening to. I look up, I see the person's eyes, and I'm taken by how young they are. Recovering quickly from his surprise by everything happening, Bradley said he elbowed the guy and his knife away from him, and he ran as fast as he could, and hopping over the turnstile on the way out. Before he got too far away, he said he hid by the entrance so he could take a few photos of the guy who allegedly held him up. Now, what if the guy was like, man, is this your knife? I found this. Is this yours? The Alias alum said he jumped over, running away. I took a photo of him, then I chased him up the stairs. He started running up 7th Avenue. I took two more photos of him. I ran down with 2 police officers in an SUV, showed them the photograph, and I'm like talking to them, and the guy kept saying it was so interesting. He's like, are you stabbed? I was like, no. He was like, check to see if you're stabbed. What happens is people get stabbed and they're in shock. I looked to see if he was right. And then I got back to the subway and picked up my daughter. Well, good on him for not forgetting his kid. But pay more attention to your surroundings, dum-dum. I mean, Grant, a 3-inch knife can fuck your shit up, too. It looks a lot bigger than it is, too. So he's lucky he got away because he's in good shape. But yeah, it doesn't. Armed robbers don't give a fuck who you are. So yeah, they probably, if they knew who he was, they thought he had cash on him, and celebrities never carry cash. Hey, Random, how you doing, man? How much for the knife? That's not a knife. So yeah, Bradley Cooper got robbed, or sort of. So that's the thing that happened. And again, I'm covering some celebrity news because it's good for the algorithm to get big name people on there. So it helps me get noticed because I'm a shameless whore. All right, let's talk about. Let's talk about Disney for a second. We got a little bit of Marvel news. Rudy Giuliani legit cleaned up the city. Yeah, he did. The nanny bloomers and comrade Commissar Wilhelm let it go to crap. Yep. Hey, Kiever Dam, how you doing? You're not wrong, Assassin. Giuliani cleaned up New York. Say what you will about the man or his politics or how crazy goofy he is. That man cleaned up New York City. It would not have been as big of a city as it was in the 90s and up until recently if it wasn't for him. The Russian lady that got stabbed in the face with a knife. Fuck, that was brutal. Yeah, Doc Dog. That's right. Yeah, you can really get fucked up by even a small knife because your skin just isn't designed to be not cut. Tired, but okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm tired too. I got up super early. I've been up for almost 24 hours. I got about 3 more hours and it'll be 24 hours. So I'm at about 21. Yeah, it's been a crazy day for me. So, but I got to stream with Monkey and Nick Ricada, so that was nice. That was a fun stream too. Oh, sorry. All right, let's jump over to the BBC. Disney appoints woman as chair for the first time in 98-year history. Susan Arnold, who has been a Disney board member for 14 years, will succeed Bob Iger at the end of this year. She was formerly an executive at global investment firm Carlyle. If you haven't heard of the Carlyle Group, they really have their hands in quite a bit of stuff, actually. Mr. Iger, who stepped down as Disney's chief executive in 2020 after 15 years in the role, will leave the company by the end of this month. As I step into this new role as chairman of the board, I look forward to continuing to serve the long-term interest of Disney shareholders and working closely with CEO Bob Chapek as he builds upon the company's long legacy of creative excellence and innovation, Ms. Arnold said in a statement. Now, there's a lot of speculation going around about her role behind the scenes and getting Chapek his job, that sort of thing. But this lady's not known to be a Hollywood insider. And when she says chairman of the board, she does not mean the Carrot Top movie. That was a separate thing altogether and unrelated to this. So, yeah, don't get those confused. She also served in senior roles at some of America's largest companies. For the last 8 years, Miss Arnold has been an executive at Carlyle Group, having previously held roles at consumer goods giant Procter & Gamble and fast food chain McDonald's. Susan is an incredibly esteemed executive whose wealth of experience, unwavering integrity, and expert judgment have been invaluable to the company since she first joined the board in 2007, Iger said. Her appointment comes as large companies are moving away from management structures where the chief executive and chairperson roles are held by the same person under pressure from corporate governance, experts, investors, and in some cases, regulators to separate the two key positions. Mr. Iger's exit marks the end of an era for Disney, who's been in a senior role for the company since 1996. And look, he's gotten them in massive amounts of debt, buying up Fox and Lucasfilm and Marvel. Marvel's been the only really successful purchase that had happened anywhere near this guy's watch. And Disney's in incredible debt for that Fox purchase. It is time the chief executive Disney made a number of major acquisitions, including the takeovers of Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and 20th Century Fox, which I just said. In 2016, the firm opened its first theme park and resort in mainland China. Considering all that's going on right now politically, that's probably not a good thing. Several other Disney executives have announced plans to leave by the end of this year, including studio head Alan Horn, president and chief creative officer of Disney branded television Gary Marsh, and company general counsel Alan Braverman. Now, with all these guys leaving, there is the potential for things to turn around at Disney and get good again instead of this woke bullshit we've been treated to. And with any luck, this lady's going to do that. I don't have a lot of faith they will because Disney doesn't care about any of us, but we can always hope. What does it mean when your cat stands next to a full water and full bowl and meows like starving to death? I don't know. Flippington does that as well. Sometimes it means they don't like the food. Sometimes they're just being dicks. Maybe throw some treats in there with it. I don't know. But if they could see the bottom of the bowl, sometimes if they had bad experiences with like not being fed a lot as kittens, they get food. It's been my experience anyway. They get like food paranoia, and if they could see the bottom of the bowl, they treat it as being a completely empty bowl. So sometimes it pays just to sort things out. Let me go with being a dick. Yeah, that one surprised me. Cats are like that. So maybe this lady could turn things around over at Disney, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. We're probably going to get more woke shit. But it'll be a couple years before we really know, because a lot of stuff got greenlit under Bob Iger that is at the very beginnings of production. Not just like Indiana Jones 5 and some of the Star Wars stuff, but a bunch of other crap as well. So it might be 2 to 4 years before we know. Bull's always full. Oh, I don't know. Maybe just like doesn't want you watching him eat or something. All right, let's get into the dumb shit. Let's see. Oh, no, I got a couple other mild articles before we get too stupid with it. All right, let's see. Over at Bleeding Cool, calls for Marvel and DC to republish JLA Avengers for George Perez. I like this idea because this was actually a good story. There was some really cool crossover stuff in this one. Yesterday, the legendary comic creator, we just read the article about that. Among the memories and well wishes from comic book creators and fans were repeated calls for DC and Marvel to reprint the 2004 JLA Avengers volume by George Perez and Kurt Busiek. That was a great crossover. The whole scene with Batman and Captain America was great. And you see some famous or semi-famous people here calling for that, including Tom Brevoort, which surprises me because he's notoriously a curmudgeon. Currently, the hardcover collection is long out of print and sells for $400 on Amazon. A copy of the trade paperback recently sold for $200 on eBay. Marvel and DC Comics, who ran regular crossovers over the decades, have not done anything like this for the last decade and a half due to corporate politics. Might something like this breach the divide? Probably not, sadly. But it would be a great thing to do because it is some really seminal work for all the characters that he's ever done. Like, he's done some amazing work at both companies, but to have them all in one book is really cool. And I would buy a hardcover of this, absolutely. I'd go sell some plasma to buy it. So it'd be really nice if they did that, but I don't trust Marvel to not be like, oh, he's not woke enough. Neil Adams or Kurt Swan that did Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I don't remember, Rodline. That's a good question. Let's find out. Superman versus Muhammad Ali. We're doing it live. That was Neil Adams. Inks by Dick Giordano and Terry Austin. Terry Austin went on to work on X-Men. He was one of the best inkers on X-Men. Yeah, that was a crazy issue. Sometimes think cats just don't want to eat the last few crumbs. Yeah, well, they're finicky. I mean, there's a lot of people like that too, like people that don't eat the crust on their bread, you know. They always think they deserve more because you're eating some. That means you're probably stealing the best parts from them. That's how that works. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I would love to see JLA Avengers reprinted. That was a fun story back when comics were great, or at least still good. In 2004, things were still pretty solid overall in the industry. So it was a damn shame that they haven't reprinted that in a long time. Here's a cool thing that's going on. Got a couple of kind of random things that are just like cool product stuff. But check this out. Taschen and Marvel announced the Marvel Comics Library. That looks really cool. I don't like this one as much. But this cover's awesome. Finally, we've been saying it for years, but this is from Comics Beat. Methodical reprinting of Marvel's greatest hits is a license to print money. Yeah, of course it is. And Taschen evidently paid for the license. Marvel and Taschen have announced the Marvel Comics Library, an exclusive long-term collaboration between Taschen and Marvel. The decade-long project will see comic classics including Spider-Man, Avengers, and Captain America reprinted in full-color, extra-large format, and it kicks off next year, we assume, with Spider-Man Volume 1, 1962 to 64, which will feature the first 21 issues or 21 Spider-Man stories by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. The volume will include a historical essay by Marvel editor Ralph Macchio, or Macchio, however you want to pronounce it. An introduction by collector David Mandel. I don't fucking care. I don't know who that is, and I don't care. Original art boards, rare photos, and behind-the-scenes source material. The next title in the Marvel Comics Library will be Avengers Volume 1, 63 through 65, Fantastic Four Volume 1, 61 through 63, and Captain America. Just random Captain America. All scheduled for release in 2022 and 2023. The announcement follows news of Marvel's introduction to the venerated and venerable Penguin Classics series, another more budget-priced for poor people, a collection of Marvel comics from the Silver Age and beyond. Tash is known for glorious art books, and they promise a meticulous reproduction, believe it. The price has not been announced, but is expected to be at collector level, i.e. high. It'll probably be $150. And how this oversized version compares to the established artist editions size also remains to be seen. The artist editions are really big, and they are beautiful. I almost impulse bought one, and they were $125. This would be easily worth the omnibus price. This is actually the slipcase for this book. You can see the indents here. So it's going to be a very nice book, very beautiful with lots of bonus stuff. So yeah, get ready for that one. Start saving your money now because this is going to creep up on you before you know it. Looks really freaking cool. In the 80s and 90s, I don't know what this mess is now. Yeah, Evil Ferret, you're not wrong. Yeah, Louis, they did Essentials editions, which were all black and white. So they actually have to tell you full color because they have done black and white renditions of these old classics. So sadly, people felt cheated when they bought the Essential editions, even though it says on them that they're in black and white. Plus, there were black and white books like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The original run was black and white. Hey, Frosted, how you doing, man? So yeah, unfortunately, you do have to tell people that sometimes because brains don't always come with a hobby. And I have soy sauce on my table. That's not cool. That's not a euphemism. Although you'll think it is now, won't you? All right. Let's talk about Rust. You know that movie where some guy did something to some people? Picked up the first collection, TMNT colorized. Yeah, I like the colorized one. It's pretty cool. Thank you. Soy! Yeah, right? I'm not a big soy sauce fan either, but I had some sushi earlier. Like made by an actual Japanese person. And it was good. It was good. I'm not a big sushi person. I don't really like sushi. Not a fish person. I think most types of fish are disgusting because they swim in their own poop. And they hang out with sea roaches, lobsters. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of fish. From the Daily Mail, father of Rust armorer Hannah Reid says gun was sabotaged by disgruntled crew member who wanted to cause a safety incident, but didn't mean for cinematographer Halen Hutchins to die. So this dude has got this whole thing mapped out. He read some Ellery Queen mysteries, and he cracked the case. And is not totally diverting the blame from his incompetent daughter. The father of the young armorer from Alec Baldwin's movie Rust says that the gun Alec Baldwin used to kill Helena, whatever her name is, Hutchins, was sabotaged by a disgruntled crew member who wanted to cause a safety incident after having complaints ignored, but never intended for anyone to die. I would love to see his evidence on that. Hannah Gutierrez Reid, 24, was the armorer on the set of the movie on October 21st. She says she handed the gun to assistant director Dave Halls after checking it, and that he gave it to Baldwin, who then accidentally fired it at Hutchins while rehearsing a scene. So somewhere in this chain of 3 people custody, it magically got sabotaged. It was sabotage. You see? You don't understand. He's in the know. No one has been arrested yet, and the sheriff's department is still investigating what exactly happened. Last week, Baldwin gave a tearful ABC interview where he said it was not his fault, but he couldn't say whose fault it was. Yeah, he took zero responsibility. It was very, very shameless. And I have a feeling in lawsuits coming forth from people, that interview will haunt him. The set has been plagued with safety complaints in the days and hours before the shooting, with some disgruntled staff walking off in the hours before the accident, and they're going to get blamed. Now, Hannah's father, veteran film armorer Thel Reid, is speaking out in her defense, suggesting it was a disgruntled crew member who was fed up with safety issues in the set is to blame for the accident. Oh, yeah, it's not that his daughter has a history of not knowing what she's doing or handing weapons to, 11-year-old children or anything. Because this is a good look. This is what you want your armorer doing. Posing like a fucking half-wit. Good job. In his own interview with ABC's Good Morning America on Tuesday, Reid said his daughter had been around guns her whole life and does as good a job as he does. He has worked on films like 310 to Yuma and other westerns involving guns. He maintains that had Hannah been in the church set when Baldwin was given the gun, she would have checked it a final time and found the live round that was placed in it. But she didn't, did she? That one time they should have had her on set. She would have found it. She knows what to do. She does the job as good as I do now, he said. I think that's some serious puffing. Lawyer Jason Bowles said they have proved someone sabotaged her and have given it to the sheriff. Yeah, I'm dying to see it. Sabotage is the most likely probability. A lot of motives there. Somebody wanted to cause a safety incident on set with a live round. Are you fucking kidding me? Nobody wanted anybody to be killed. I don't know if you put a live round in a gun that you know is going to be handed to an actor. Seems like you want someone to get killed. We developed evidence of motive of that. Well, there's a lot of motive going around. Why Hannah might have been a target, that's all gone to the sheriff. We're asking for all that to be completed before the decision is made on charging. Asked if he believes his daughter was sabotaged, as the lawyer said, Thel said yes. In the hours before the shooting, several crew members had walked off set because they were unhappy with the conditions. They said that sounds like they're scapegoating these people. They said that people were being asked to work for too long, compromise safety protocols, and travel for at least an hour to and from the set every day because production won't pay for them to stay closer to it. It was only the second film had been hired as the lead armor, and she said she was stretched thin, having also to act as prop master. Now, remember, Nicolas Cage did complain about this woman as well, and there was the incident where she gave a gun to an 11-year-old. Her father said on Tuesday morning that he didn't like that she had to split her focus between the two jobs. I didn't like it, and she complained about it too. Well, she could have quit. He said his daughter had grown up around guns and was competent despite her comparative lack of experience. I don't buy that. She's been raised around gun safety since she was a little girl. She likes film. She started working with me on the armory, and she liked that better. She didn't need more training. She's got me. Yeah, that sounds like something a dad would say to try and cover for his kid. Reed's attorney added that she checked the gun and then handed it to Assistant Director Dave Halls, who has already admitted that he did not check every chamber. Well, you're incompetent. She had two duties, prop duties and armorer duties. She had spun the cylinder, given it to Halls, shown him each of the 6 rounds, given it to Halls. He was going to take custody of the weapon then. Hannah was outside the church having to do her prop duties. Her father said on Tuesday he is adamant she will not face charges. Well, that's nice. So yeah, I don't know. The complaints against her are pretty serious. Look at these bags under his eyes, dude. What the fuck? But yeah, the fact that Baldwin won't take any responsibility for this and doesn't seem to even feel guilty. I don't know. I think there's a lot of fuck ups here. Yuma's in Arizona? Yeah, it is. I keep wanting to say Yumi because it's a hot Asian chick's name. But, what are you going to do? Investigators will know exactly how many pounds of pressure it takes to pull the trigger. Yeah, apparently there's been some rumor that the gun, he may have had the trigger depressed when he pulled the hammer back, and just because he doesn't know anything about guns, he may have accidentally fired the weapon and not realized he did it. You think the crew was just playing Russian roulette and this is the cover story? Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't be the first time somebody did that. The actor that was on Voyagers did that and blew his own brains out. No, it was the cinematographer that got killed, Broadline. And the director got injured as well. So was it the first time that magically live ammo was on set? Yeah, from what it sounds like, they were using these guns to shoot like varmints that were running around out there too. Yeah, Louis, that would explain that. But yeah, Hollywood people are very obsessed about their looks. So yeah, that whole thing was just somebody fucked up and now there's dead bodies. And nobody wants to take any responsibility because why would they? That's always a possibility, Peter, but it's also possible that his ego won't let him take any kind of credit or responsibility at all. And maybe it was totally an accident, but his ego just hit. Oh no, I couldn't have fucked up. No, it had to be other people, probably a Trump supporter. Puffy Yumi. 2 previous negligent discharges. Yeah, and even if those were blanks, you can still kill people with blanks. The guy from Voyagers died from blanks. Damn, what the fuck was that guy's name? I don't remember. I'm not looking it up. That's a total tangent. Varmints, are they the Beverly Hillbillies? I don't know. I don't know what kind of critters roam around in wherever the fuck they are. They're just doing a Yankee swap with all the various guns in the area, apparently. Well, it sounds like they hired some locals after some of the crew walked, and they were just like bringing their own shit to the place. Hexum? Yeah, thank you. His last name was Hexum. John Eric Hexum, I think it was. Thank you, Sir Adamantine. Just get a couple of cats. Yeah, I think they were shooting like armadillos or gophers or something. Something that really isn't it. That it's a nuisance more than a problem. So let's jump back over to ICV2 and check this out. Cults of Cthulhu, a new source book for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition RPG. Call of Cthulhu is one of my favorite role-playing games, so I thought this was really cool. And I might pick it up just to read it. It's coming out in March 2022. It's a source book about the humans and humanoids who hear Cthulhu's dark call and organize cults to do his bidding. Can be used as a GM or player's tool with information on existing cults and rules for designing unique cults for campaigns. It comes with historical information on Cthulhu cults, as well as 5 fully fleshed out cults ready to insert into encounters. The book also contains the secrets of the Deathless Masters and 3 scenarios set in Cthulhu by Gaslight, the Roaring Twenties, and modern day. It's going to be $50, but it'll be a pretty cool source book, I think. As long as they don't get any politics in there. But I think this looks pretty awesome, and I'm probably going to pick this up. I'm not paying no $50 for it, but I'll pick it up if I get it for about half that. Yeah, you'd think that the movie probably would be canceled, but who knows? Hollywood's full of weirdos. They'll probably make some documentary about it and use all the footage that they did film and make their money back that way. Just because the morbidly curious will be watching it. It'll be sort of like the Jack the Ripper documentaries. They always do really well. Same with the books because there's a fascination with it. And Ted Bundy and all that sort of thing. True crime stuff always does well. Never played Call of Cthulhu, but I'm interested in Lovecraft. How close is the game to Pathfinder gameplay wise? It's very different. It's actually very easy because it's a percentile system. You should be able to find a copy of the Chaosium Basic Fantasy Rules for free somewhere. And it uses a very slight variance of those rules, but it's very easy. You have a 30% skill in something, so you roll percentage dice. I even have, there's a lot of the rules that I skirt, like the Sandy rules. I fudge with those to make them even easier because new people have a little bit of problem with the Sandy rules in there sometimes because you're supposed to have this penalty and there's a chart. I don't use any of that shit. I just want to roll dice and kill stuff. But yeah, Cthulhu, most of the monsters in there are designed to just annihilate you. So if you actually end up in combat with one of the monsters, you're probably fucked. Unless it's like a zombie or a thrall or something. But if you come across even a mid-level monster, you're done. Unless the GM is pulling punches, you're pretty well fucked. But it's an easy game to pick up. It's more about detection and unearthing things and stuff like that. It is a very high lethality system, yeah. It can be anyway. Don't dare kill crew members, see Midnight Rider that gets your entire project canceled. Yeah, the unions have a lot of say in that. Your actor can die, like you said, but, what kind of classes and stuff are there? Oh, you get to play fascinating adventures like antiquarians and lawyers. And maybe, if you're real lucky, a cop, psychologist, stuff like that. Just average people, basically. You're not playing like Indiana Jones. You're playing more like Indiana Jones's dad. You can have some elderly people. We did an entire game where it took place in a retirement home, and that was actually a lot of fun. So yeah, you're doing more detective work and puzzle solving, that sort of thing. Depending on how it's run, there are more adventurous versions of that where you're actually playing an Indiana Jones type, but that's fairly rare from what I've seen. But yeah, it's mostly about, the spell casting is really dangerous in there. You can accidentally open the void and get sucked into it, that sort of thing. Yeah, Sean Connery. But not Sean Connery. I mean, Indiana Jones Sr. Henry Jones. It's like Indiana Jones, just times between the movies when he's a professor. Yeah. Yeah, like at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's talking to those two feds about the history of the Lost Ark. Stuff like that would actually be role played out. Bubba Hotep, the board game. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a really fun game. It sounds more boring than it is because there's a lot of stuff you could do. I used to have, because I played with a very action oriented group, and they were to always demand combat every game. And Cthulhu really isn't always set up that way, but you can always just add monsters in, like zombies, or I had a giant alligator that would show up occasionally in one of the games, and like a giant alligator, and they'd be chased down by that, or have a poltergeist or something like that. Something that wasn't necessarily deadly, but was enough of a problem it could be deadly. I don't remember if I ever played Rust. I don't think so. So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff you could do with Cthulhu. That it doesn't translate well to compare it to D&D because they're very different play styles. And it's not as poofy and frilly drama club junior sort of thing as Vampire the Masquerade, because that is very junior drama club. But it's somewhere kind of in the middle of the two. You can have adventures and car chases and stuff like that with cultists. I use cultists a lot, and various monsters that they can kill, like lizard men, that sort of thing. I had to use a lot of cryptids, goat men. I would use those a lot. But the average human has like 10 hit points. And you reach -2, you're dead. 0, you're unconscious and probably bleeding out. So a 9mm does 1d10 damage. So you get shot, you're probably dying. So shaking off the rust. No, I don't think I've ever heard that. But yeah, it's a fun game because if you're used to playing with people that play D&D, you can wipe out the whole party in like 30 minutes by accident. Like, oh, you have to go in the 3rd story of this rickety old house to recover this ancient tome that might have a lead as to what you're fighting. And then somebody's like, well, I just run up the stairs, and then the stairs collapse on them and they plummet to their death by falling 2 stories. It's a PC game knockoff, DayZ, and they just released it on console. Oh, cool. So combat is just guns? No, you can use all kinds of crap. There's different rules for like psychic powers that are in. You can find them online. They did them in a couple magazines and stuff years ago. But there's spell casting. Spell casting is ridiculously dangerous. You can also use like a broken chair leg, fire axe, knives, ceremonial weapons, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of stuff you can use as weapons. So yeah, there's more than just guns, depending on the setting too, because like there's Gaslight, which is 1890s, then there's 1920s, and then you've got the modern day. So the types of weapons vary very wildly based on what era you're playing in. Because like 1890s, they just got cartridge weapons, so you got like revolvers and stuff like that, double barrel shotguns, and you get to the modern day and you've got like 50 calibers that you could get access to. Maybe, not likely though. And the monsters are insanely tough because they all have special powers. Like Cthulhu, you drop a nuke on him, he's dead. Comes back in 15 minutes and now he's radioactive. Because he regenerates. And you can't defeat him in combat. You effectively, if he shows up, game's over. Your campaign's done. Unless you have the Necronomicon, you're fucked. So yeah, Cthulhu is a lot of fun to play, but again, it comes down to the play style of the group you're in. It definitely doesn't appeal to everyone, but they did do a quick play rule book that was only a couple bucks. It might be free on their website. on Chaosium's website. I'll give you the link to Chaosium if I can find it here real quick. Let's see if they have the playtest rules on here for Cthulhu. The starter box set's like $30, but they did a little pamphlet thing that used to be like a free download. It'd be boring to watch that, but listen to me do that while I mutter to myself like a crazy person. So there's the link to the website. To become Cthulhu Man? No, you just die. There's no superpowers in that game. That'd be funny though. But yeah, they've done a lot of cool stuff over the years, and the older editions are very compatible with the new ones because the core mechanics really haven't changed much. They tweaked a few things here and there, but they really haven't done much to change the game. So if you find an older edition, like we played 3rd edition. The first time I played 1st edition, but my group that I played with the most, we played 3rd edition and then 4th edition. And there was effectively very minimal difference between the two. It does whatever Cthulhu can. Yeah, there's a lot of tentacles. It's very sexy tentacles. All right, let's talk about Seth Rogan. Because he's a stupid little crybaby that needs attention. This is from Bounding into Comics. Anti-white activist Seth Rogan brags about telling people to go fuck themselves as he calls critics of Santa Inc. white supremacists. He's got this stupid show on HBO Max. And Sarah Silverman plays one of the elves, and she's seeking to disrupt all-white Christmas patriarchy. That's a thing that happens. Yeah, they have muskets, batons, battle axes, lances, maces, samurai swords. Yeah, absolutely they do, Louis. Yeah, because you can play in different regions and different eras. I couldn't sit through more than about, 5 minutes of this before I was like, this is stupid. It's exactly what you'd expect from modern Seth Rogen. And this looks like Windows 95 art. Why does he only have 3 hands? Rogan made his anti-white activism clear in August 2020 interview with Entertainment Weekly's Leah Greenblatt while attempting to promote his American Pickle film. In that interview, which Entertainment Weekly has just now made unavailable, Rogan told Greenblatt, personally, I think I'm just actively trying to make less things starring white people. He went on to say, and if I'm succeeding or I'm not, I'm very much looking to have a far more diverse group of writers and directors and actors that we generally work with because the group is not incredibly diverse, Rogan ultimately concluded, so that's why I've been trying to deal with it. It's just an actively take, as they would say, anti-racist measures to assure that some work is being done to acknowledge that black people are very marginalized in American society. I don't know. He lives in like a gated community, so maybe that's true in his neighborhood, but I don't think that's true. Yeah, exactly, Frosted. Pull the old hard game. Look, nice. Not only has Rogan expressed anti-white views, noting that he will discriminate against them, but he's also expressed some rather extreme views about Christians. That's not shocking. He thinks he's edgy. He's edgy for like 1990. In July 2020, on the What the Fuck with Mark Marone podcast, again attempting to promote American Pickle, Rogan and Marone began discussing the post-Holocaust strategies for the Jewish people. In the middle of the conversation, Rogan claims it would be nice to live somewhere that was not a part of the Christian apocalyptic prophecy. Is also probably a good idea. Maybe settle somewhere that the Christians don't think you all have to die in order for the apocalypse to happen. He would reiterate, they need us to go there so we can die and the apocalypse can take place. What? Now Rogan is describing critics of his HBO Max animated series Santa Inc. as white supremacists, following the trailer for the series showing an elf voiced by Sarah Silverman named Candy, livid that Santa Claus is white. Another elf tells Candy, but the position of Santa has mostly been a white man's game. Candy responds, exactly, it's fucking crazy. Things have got to change. Then in a strategy session for her move to become Santa, another character named Devin tells Candy, let's go over what we know. Santa and the board are all male, all white. The trailer would rightfully get a ton of criticism, so much so that HBO Max shut down the comments section. There's a shock. Rogan would describe many of those critics as white supremacists. He took to Twitter, naturally, where he wrote, we really pissed off tens of thousands of white supremacists with our new show Santa Inc., which is now available on HBO Max. He then added, please read the responses of this to this tweet for confirmation. This man lives on outrage porn, so he has to try and gin up controversy to make his fans go out and watch his boring, stupid shows. He just does pothead humor. That's all he's done for ages. He stopped being funny a long time ago, and now he's just this sad loser begging for attention. And I doubt there are tens of thousands of white supremacists in this country anymore. It's like 5,000 in the entire nation. Give me a break. Half of them are in jail, members of like the Aryan Brotherhood. Rogan's tweets comes days after he revealed his messages people on Twitter to tell them to go fuck themselves. He wrote, a lot of people come here and talk shit on Twitter, hoping I'll engage with them publicly and give them attention, but instead I DM them and tell them to go fuck themselves privately. It's a lot more fun. Oh, you're so edgy. Look at you. Talk about, this is the Kevin Smith strategy of getting attention, where you just start yelling at people that don't like your stuff, and then hopefully they'll go hate watch it. It's really kind of sad. He just seems like he really needs somebody in his life to love him, because he lives off the adoration of others. Has he made anything good since Superbad? I didn't even think Superbad was very good. I never really liked him because I always found him kind of annoying. And now he's gone like full hardcore Jesse Eisenberg levels of annoying. And that's pretty annoying. Because Jesse Eisenberg is really fucking irritating. But we're not done with Seth Rogan just yet, because there's more news about him. Over at Games Radar, Darkwing Duck reboot in the works at Disney Plus from Seth Rogan and Evan Goldberg. This is actually from November of last year. And I didn't know about this. A reboot of the early 90s animated series Darkwing Duck is reportedly in early development at Disney Plus. As Variety reports, the reboot doesn't currently have a writer attached, and other details about cast and crew are seemingly being kept under wraps. That said, longtime collaborators Seth Rogan and Evan Goldberg are reportedly teaming up with James Weaver and Alex Mekka to tackle Darkwing Duck reboot as executive producers under their Point Grey Pictures production banner. Now, apparently, they also have the rights to another show. I think it's Chippendale Rescue Rangers. So get ready for this to be really, really stupid. So I didn't heard about this, but I wasn't paying that close of attention. He probably likes to go out like Kobe. Yeah, probably. So I'm really disappointed that Seth Rogen's going to do Darkwing Duck. That's disheartening. Because he's one of those guys like everyone else that does these remakes for older shows like Chips and all that. They're going to make it into a joke. He's not going to give it any degree of seriousness or the same love and attention that the people that created it did. It's really sad. I don't want to watch Darkwing Duck or Rescue Rangers getting stoned, right? He's just not. Seth Rogen's not funny anymore, and he hasn't been in a long time. All right, we got to talk about Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez. This is from Bounding into Comics. Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez rewrite and queer the past in Wonder Woman Historia, the Amazons. Because, everybody's gay now. In a new interview, writer Kelly Sue DeConnick and writer-artist Phil Jimenez say quite clearly their goal with the graphic novel Wonder Woman Historia, the Amazons, is to smash the old patriarchy and reflect a greater sense of queerness. Discussing Historia Book 1 for DC's blog, DeConnick tells about how tired of women being put on a pedestal in a certain way by male writers over the years. She wants to revise the Amazon history to fit her impression of the now. Yeah, because everything's got to be current year. You can't have Amazons without hardcore lesbianics. I don't fucking know. Probably some non-binary people. Admittedly not interested in Greek history or doing more than some research. Shocker. DeConnick stated she listened to hours of lectures, but it was a little bit like learning the rules so you could throw some of them out, she explained. Yeah, fuck history, right? Your old legends, they're old white people legends, right? Ugh. Because this is fiction, when we write about the past today, we're not really writing about the past, she added. Oh, sometimes they are. We're writing about today. That's a very limited view. There's no point in making art about the past unless you're using it to talk about the present or the future, because the past is past. Duh, stupid people. God, what the hell is happening here? Is this a plant person? DeConnick was asked how she balances the utopian peace and love image of the Amazons with the proud and fierce warrior race they're also known to be. Her response was the portrayals dividing and unhelpful rather than equalizing. Yeah, we got to redistribute this and make it equitable or some shit. I think there's a thing that happens sometimes when men are trying to celebrate women. And this happens sometimes when women are trying to celebrate women as well. But it happens a lot when men are trying to celebrate women. See, men do something women most affected. Women get put on a pedestal in a way that suggests women are just better, right? DeConnick continued that they're more communal and gentler and more nurturing. They're not aggressive like those terrible, awful men. Those are her words, not mine. She would add, and putting someone on a pedestal is just another way of putting them in a box. It's not helpful, it's limiting. It's not equalizing, it continues to other us. In conclusion, she said, so the idea that a society of women would be more communal makes a lot of assumptions about women that are sort of essentialist and really discounts how much of the way women has to do with what women are asked or forced to do culturally. Or maybe it's biological. Have you considered that, you dumb shit? DeConnick soon made the observation that Amazons are warriors protecting peace as a survival adaptation, which transcends gender and is just a historical notion, she adds. There's nothing particularly new or incongruous about that, except for one hiccup. Where people have the hiccup is like, but they're women. Like, yup, she stated. I don't even really know what she's talking about here, but okay, we'll just go with it. From there, Phil Jimenez chimed in to expound on how Wonder Woman has brought sexuality and queerness to the table since the 1940s when William Moulton Marston created the character and weaved his fetishes into the book. Yeah, the guy was a sex pest. He was a weirdo pervert that liked bondage. So what? He also invented the polygraph. So just run with that however you want. And the guy that created Alan Scott Green Lantern also created the Pillsbury Doughboy. That's got nothing to do with it. The price of tea in China. We all know that Marston stuff was mired in Marston's own fetishized view of sex and women, but it's still amazing work to me because of the fact that this was 1942, the middle of World War II, and it was so clear and obvious on the page. It's still quite stunning as a historical artifact. Okay, so what? Of course, the Comics Code swooped in and changed all that until George Perez came along in the 80s, but that's all on the side for Jimenez, who is more concerned with how he defines queer and represents it to his liking. I use queer in the broadest possible sense, he said. Yeah, they made a movie about that dude. It was weird. And further, so I think it's inherently queer in its way, again, using as my broader definition of queer. It just has to be a proud and profound feminist point of view, and that thrills me because I think that queers our industry a little bit. You mean gay Superman didn't do that for you? How about the fact that there are more gay characters than there are straight characters now? This is not edgy anymore. This is just lazy. Jimenez could queer the industry, but for DeConnick, it gets broader than the broadest use of queer. She wants to change what readers think they know about Amazons and everything, calling Historia a textbook for a history of the Amazons that is intended for an audience of young Amazons, she declared. The thing that I would want to take away from it is the idea of questioning the version of history that you've always been fed. She sounds like Alex Jones. Yeah, men do something like creates the Wonder Woman character. Yeah. Amazons have a seat on the UN Security Council? Maybe. No, I don't think they'll do that, Frosted. I think they'll do the exact opposite. She goes on, our opening contract with you is forget everything you think you know. The narrator says history is written by the victors. In the war between the Amazons and the gods of men, the Amazons are lost. DeConnick continued to make her point that reveals her true intent with Historia, inadvertently or not. So the version that you've read was written by our oppressors, she said. Probably there is no objective history, and the truth may lie somewhere in between. But you've heard theirs, this is ours, and there's a thing to be taught. It is to be considered the source. Remember that history is stories. Yeah, it's the other ones are oppressors. This book was announced in 2018 as part of DC's Black Label and has been years in the making. Book one is now available in print digitally. I almost bought that until I saw who was working on it. And when I saw super feminist Phil Jimenez and Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's like fourth wave feminist, I had no interest. So yeah, this is going to be stupid, and it's just going to be a walking stereotype because neither of these guys are particularly good at writing. Let's say she is a very, very predictable writer. She looks at everything through a scope of oppression, and it's really lazy, and it reflects in her work. She's never been challenged, so her work never improves. It's always consistently at the same level of bad. Just like Vita Ayala, it's predictable in its mediocrity. So this is just another way to try and ruin an element of DC Comics. And we're going to keep seeing this crap because DC is very, very woke these days. Yeah, exactly. It's the big book of cliches, Frosted. That's a great way to say it. Yeah, it's a miniseries, I think, so who knows? It's going to be dumb. Okay, we're past the point where I need to do a little bit more shilling. So if you like what you're watching, like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support the show, drop a donation in the Streamlabs, which accepts PayPal. All right, so two interesting articles hit the wire at the end of the month last month that I didn't get to because we haven't done this stream in a while. Oh, it's just the thing about stories is that if they're false accounts, you don't really get to learn the lesson that true stories would teach. Yeah, well, they seem to think, that men can't tell stories about women because you end up pedestalizing them and worshiping them. That's not exactly what the case is. It's more that's their perception of what they think you're doing. And what's wrong with having a island of women that want peace? I don't understand the issue there. You gotta gay it up for the sake of gaying it up? I don't understand your point. What's wrong with what they were doing? Just seems lazy to me. We gotta change everything because people like what's existing. So this is from Bleeding Cool. IDW to lose G.I. Joe comics license in 2022. This is a rumor, but everybody's treating it like fact. Over the weekend at San Diego Comic-Con 2021 Special Edition, there's plenty to talk about the state of the comic industry as it stands, as well as many moves that have been made happening of late that will be happening in the very near future. As big publishers choose not to attend the show, it meant there was much less management of the information that flowed. One such nugget is that IDW Publishing, based just down the road in San Diego, is not only to lose their license to produce comic books based on Transformers franchise from Hasbro, but they will also lose G.I. Joe. I did not hear about My Little Pony, but one can speculate. Well, you can speculate pretty easily because Hasbro has made it clear that they bundle all of their IP for comics as one thing. So if you're wanting the G.I. Joe license or the Visionaries license, you got to get it all. Because they don't want to screw around with a bunch of little licensing. Back in August, Bleeding Cool broke the news on IDW losing the Marvel Action Kids line titles, which IDW then confirmed, and the Star Wars All Ages line, which IDW did not reply to, but that Dark Horse claimed last month. IDW did not respond to inquiries made earlier today on this. A number of related stories, if true, is that there's also no date as to when this may occur, but Rich Johnson's expecting it in the summer of 2022. As a licensed property by Hasbro, G.I. Joe comics have been released from 1967 to present as a team fighting Cobra since 1982. The comic book history of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, has been covered by 3 separate publishers and 4 main title series. I think it's actually been 4 publishers, because I think Devil's Due had it for a while. Because it was at Marvel, then Image, I think Devil's Due had it, and then IDW had it. So the first series was produced by Marvel, running 155 issues. Second and third series published by Devil's Due, and then IDW. Yeah, they left out Image. And IDW picked up where the Marvel comic series left off. By the same writer, because Larry Hama's writing it. Ever since Dreamwave Comics debacle with the Transformers license, which left Hasbro owed millions of dollars, Hasbro has been especially careful as to where their licenses go. Here's the latest week's current upcoming G.I. Joe listings. That doesn't matter. And then they did an article the same day about the Transformers license. It's basically the exact same article. So, yeah, but they did announce a new G.I. Joe series in early 2022. It's a 4-parter, I think, about this following the Saturday morning cartoon. G.I. Joe pulling out of Afghanistan. But now the speculation is that they're going to lose this license and that it's supposedly going to go over to Dark Horse. But then you go over to Dark Horse and you find out here from Bleeding Fool on December 6th that, in fact, Dark Horse is up for sale, supposedly. Reports say publisher looking for buyer. Founded in 1986 by Mike Richardson, top indie comics publisher Dark Horse Comics has evolved over the years into a comic industry giant. They haven't been a giant in a decade. They do a lot of licensing stuff too, and a lot of their stuff is really low end. The paper quality sucks. They've gone really off the deep end in the last 15 years. It's really disappointing because they do not have a lot of good titles anymore. They have the Hellboy stuff, and that's really about it. Now, the publishing house behind the properties like Hellboy and Sin City is reportedly looking to find a buyer. According to a recent report by comicbook.com, the publisher has hired an advisor and is looking to weigh options that could include sale based on initial reporting by Bloomberg. Bloomberg's a lot more reliable than San Diego Comic-Con random rumors. There are no real details about how seriously they're taking the process, but given the success of Umbrella Academy and the recent move by Disney to return some aspects of the Star Wars license to Dark Horse, it seems plausible that they would find potential buyers in either Netflix or the Walt Disney Company, and that the recent announcement that creator Sergio Aragonés recently sold the animation rights to the long-running Dark Horse title Gru the Wanderer to Did I Productions, and it's clear Dark Horse is already a pretty big deal. No, they're on a high tide currently, but they've been really low tide for a long time. The fact they got the Star Wars license back is a big boon for them, but they lost the Aliens and Predator licenses because Marvel bought Fox. So Marvel has those. Why they're shipping out the stuff to the Star Wars stuff to Dark Horse makes no sense to me. But I think what's really happening is they sold the rights to certain eras of Star Wars to Dark Horse. So they're getting the license for High Republic. We know that. And probably the sequel trilogy, because those are the ones that aren't selling. And I'm betting that's what's happening here. But nobody's really given us a lot of information on what books, except to say that they are publishing some High Republic stuff. They haven't said anything about original trilogy. Bloomberg has few details on the move and could not get any kind of comment from Dark Horse at the time of this writing. Comic books attempts to get a comment have also failed. The revelations came as part of a larger story about how content creators are exploiting the IP is everything mode Hollywood is currently operating in to monetize things that they own. This is something you can see in the never-ending string of comics, both corporate comics from Marvel and DC, and also indie comics from Image, Dark Horse, Boom Studios, and other publishers being optioned for film and TV. Many of those don't get made, but some of them are going to turn into huge hits, and some of them will cost a ton of money to option. Acquiring a content library is a handy shortcut, as Disney has proven with Fox, which already has new Home Alone and Predator installments in the works. Dark Horse Comics not only has a long tradition of establishing new creative talent throughout all of its divisions, not in the last 10 years, but they've also published the work of creative legends such as some Asian guy, Margaret Atwood, Will Eisner, Neil Gaiman, Dave Gibbons, Frank Miller, Mobius, Chuck Palahniuk, Mike Barron, Paul Chadwick, Jeff Darrow, some other Asian person, Matt Nitt, Jeff Lemire, Mike Mignola, Wendy Pini, Jared Way, and so many more. Yeah, and most of these people, they did that 20 years ago. Mike Mignola, Hellboy's been out over 20 years. Mike Barron has been around for like 30 or 40 years, but hasn't worked at Dark Horse in ages. Does he just have the money because of debt? I don't know. It depends how cheap they are. Because remember, Disney did buy up other comic companies before. They bought CrossGen for $1 million and bought all their intellectual property. And they've done jack shit with it for the past 11 years. They did 4-issue miniseries for a handful of books as soft reboots, written mostly by hack writers like G. Willow Wilson. So they all flopped, and they just ignored it ever since then. And they don't even license out the ability to reprint those books. And there were a lot of storylines that never got finished that they could have profited on. And now everybody's forgotten about CrossGen. And they just did nothing with the property. They also own Malibu because Malibu was bought by Marvel. They've never done anything with the Ultraverse books. Not since Marvel bought Malibu back in, 95? So, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous how much stuff Disney actually owns. Plus, they own a lot of comic strips and comic books from, like, the Carl Barks era, where they were actually publishing a bunch of Mickey Mouse adventures, DuckTales, that sort of thing. So that stuff's all owned by them. I would watch that movie, Frosted Glass. But Home Alone, remember, is just the prequel to Saw. If you're going with studios that are on a buying spree, Sony's more likely to buy them. Yeah, Sony would. I think Netflix would too, because Dark Horse does have a good reputation, and I think you could buy them pretty cheap. Because most of their stuff is licensed. They don't own a lot. There's creator-owned stuff, and there's licensed stuff. But Dark Horse itself, I think they still own that comic book universe they did in the mid-90s with like Barbed Wire and Catalyst and some of the others. But we haven't seen that stuff since 96? So that stuff's almost 30 years old at this point too. So I don't know exactly what they're thinking is the big score here, but I find it highly suspect that if Dark Horse could be up for sale, that they're going to end up with the G.I. Joe and Transformers rights. I think IDW is in a lot of trouble if they lose those rights. I think they're done in that case. But until it's confirmed, I think this should all be treated as rumor. Too many people are treating this as fact, and it's not. It's unconfirmed rumors. So until we hear more about this, I think it's more likely IDW goes out of business in 2022 or 2023. Then they would lose the license for sure. But I don't know if the license is going to get yanked because their sales have been going up, and a lot of their books are good. They'd still have stuff like Sonic the Hedgehog and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anyway, so they could still be around for a bit. But I think their Transformer stuff is selling well enough, and G.I. Joe is as well. They have a stable audience. What they need is more original content, and they've been looking for that. So hopefully they'll find that. But I don't think IDW is going to lose the license unless there's something we don't know about behind the scenes. So I would say treat this as rumor because everybody's pointing it to Dark Horse saying they're going to get the rights. I don't see it happening. A lot of the comic companies are way too far in debt right now because of the coup and the shutdown that Diamond did that cost a lot of people a lot of sales. And I don't think anybody's got the money to buy up the licenses for any of those series. So maybe Hasbro's looking around at other people to shop it to, but I don't think anybody's got the money to license it right now. I'm kind of surprised Dark Horse can afford to get the Star Wars license. Studios are Dark Horse was bought by Seth Rogan. That wouldn't surprise me. He'd do it just to be a douche. So yeah, I've seen a couple people talking about this online, and yeah, I just wanted to discuss it because I really don't think Dark Horse is going to get those licenses if they're trying to sell themselves. Because if they're trying to sell, there's no reason to pick up those IPs and gather that much debt when they already have some solid licenses. They've got the Hellboy stuff, and they just picked up Star Wars. Spending more money like that would be a really bad move on their part, I think. All right. So I don't know. Are any of you guys fans of Mega Man? Because Bounding into Comics has some interesting Mega Man news. It's coming to a live-action adaptation headed to Netflix, supposedly. So get ready, because we're going to get a diverse, probably flamingly gay Mega Man. According to a new report, the definitely unasked for Western live-action adaptation of everyone's favorite super fighting robot, Mega Man, is headed to Netflix. Word of Mega Man's planned Hollywood debut was first made public in 2017 when it was announced that Catfish directors Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman were in final negotiations to direct, write, respectively, a live-action film centered on the Blue Bomber for Fox and Chernin Entertainment, both of which had previously collaborated on such productions as Ford vs. Ferrari and Spies in Disguise. The film's production was later confirmed by Capcom themselves in 2018, the same day that Mega Man 11 hit shelves, who stated that the film was in development with a diverse audience in mind. It would take inspiration from the world of Mega Man while simultaneously incorporating detailed by Variety, the production values and entertainment factors that Hollywood releases are typically known for. So it's going to be crap. In 2019, amidst Disney buyout of Fox, Capcom assured fans that the film was still in production, and in January 2020, it was revealed that the Batman writer Matt Tomlinson was attached to write the live-action Mega Man. Although no word was mentioned or has been since as of whether or not Schulman was still involved in any capacity. After that, the word of Mega Man's silver screen debut ceased with an April 2020 signing of an exclusive first-look feature film deal between Chernin Entertainment's eponymous owner, Peter Chernin, and Netflix, leaving its status even more unclear than it had been ever before. Where's the diversity here? That was, until now, according to a recent update to Joost and Schulman's New York-based production company, Supermarché. It appears that the film is not only still in active development, but has been brought to Netflix by way of the aforementioned deal with Sherman Entertainment. Henry Rell and their in-house producer Orle Rose Strauss maintain an active development site. Opens the relevant paragraph of Super Marche's newly polished bio as discovered by Mega Man news outlet Proto Dudes Rockman Corner on December 2nd, wherein among their features in the works, the pair included an adaptation of Capcom's Mega Man for Sherman Entertainment and Netflix, which they wrote and are directing. Why do I get the feeling they're gonna shit all over whatever this coolness is? Like I played Mega Man 4, I think it was, but I played 1 or 2 of them and I sucked at it, so I stopped playing. So I don't really give a shit about Mega Man, but I know video game nerds and they get angry about this sort of stuff. They are going to bend this over and ram it in the ass as if it was on Epstein Island. Yeah, subverting expectations before it gets off the ground. Netflix has some really weird rules about like gender diversity requirements and stuff like that. Yeah, Giovanni, you're not wrong. That's exactly what they're going to do. Mega Man starring Elliot Page. You joke, but I bet they would do that. Have a good one, Johnny. They were hard Mega Man too. Angry video game nerds. Yes, there are a lot of very angry video game nerds. These adaptations, and it saved the Sonic movie, quite frankly. Angry nerds saved the Sonic movie because that whatever that creature was in the original trailer was total nightmare fuel. It was a terrifying little gremlin of some kind, and not the fun kind that just steals your gold, but it was some sort of monstrous thing that should not be, that would haunt the visions of children for decades to come. And they fixed it because people actually complained. Thus, as noted by Proto Dudes Rockman Corner, the film, if it does manage to come to fruition, will not likely be released until 2023 at the earliest. And this is what they're going to do to his butthole. As of writing, Mega Man's production has not been confirmed by any of its alleged involved parties, nor have any plot details about the film been made public, an unsurprising silence given its uncertain status. But I think if this is true, this movie's going to be total dog shit. I don't know if you guys have watched anything on Netflix recently, but they do a lot of garbage. A lot of garbage. Like Masters of the Universe, Revelation. And they'll give that treatment to Mega Man. So get ready to be really disappointed in the live action adaptation. I think the live action adaptation, if the rumors are true about what they're doing with Last Airbender, they're going to do the same thing to Mega Man. They'll change the setting, they'll change the costumes, they'll insert a bunch of identity politics crap for no reason, and it'll be super woke and really boring. Because Hollywood's good at ruining things. Yeah, I did Atari 2600. It's good stuff, Evil Ferret. Yeah, the Eldritch Horror that was the original Sonic. Exactly, Frosted. Normal Bori learns he has robotic powers just before prom, calling it. Yeah. Oh, it'll definitely have a prom episode. You have to have prom episodes. Mega woke non-binary man. Yeah. Mega Man will probably be played by a girl. That will be my assumption. Or a non-binary person. Probably one of color. Because and he'll have a like gay black best friend or something who's like got really zingy one-liners. It'll be that level of dumb. And rarely does that crap work. I think the last time I saw it actually work was in Freaky because it was pretty funny. But that movie was smartly written, and I don't think they have that kind of competence over at Netflix. I think they just aim for content and mediocrity and not actually making anybody think long-term about their projects. There's no beloved Netflix stuff since like the Marvel shows like Daredevil. Oh, don't worry, Cougar. The women always save the day. And speaking of women saving the day, jump over to a different Bounding into Comics article. George Orwell's 1984 is getting a new updated version. Feminist retelling with approval from the late author's estate. That's right. We're getting InSoc. Probably it'll be Incel, is my guess. And yet another example of the book's dystopian story being taken as a guidebook rather than a cautionary warning. George Orwell's 1984 is set to receive a feminist retelling which will see the story retold from the point of view of Julia, the love interest in the original novel's protagonist, Winston Smith, as she will save the day with girl power. With her fourth wave feminist free bleeding. Penned by author Sandra Newman, the aptly titled Julia will explore the events of 1984 through the character's female perspective, who, as noted by the book's publisher, Granta, understands the world of Oceania far better than Winston is essentially happy with her life. She has known no other world, and until she meets Winston, never imagined one. And now she's a wrong thinker, said a Granta spokesperson to The Guardian. She's opportunistic, believing in nothing and caring nothing at all about politics. She routinely breaks the rules, but also collaborates with the regime whenever necessary. So she's one of those people. She's an ideal citizen of Oceania, they continued, but when one day, finding herself walking toward Winston Smith in a long corridor, she impulsively hands him a note, a potentially suicidal gesture. She comes to realize that she's losing her grip and can no longer safely navigate her world. The publisher further notes that Richard Blair, Orwell's son, has been consulted and approves of the project. Yeah, once he got a check in his hands, he was like, yeah, do it, whatever, I don't give a fuck. According to the literary executor of Orwell's estate, Bill Hamilton, the estate has been looking for some time for someone to give 1984 a feminist revamp, eventually finding that Newman proved to be the perfect fit. Even Orwell's estate has been invaded by these wokists. Two of the unanswered questions in Orwell's novels are what Julia sees in Winston and how she is... he's different, that's what. And how she has navigated her way through the party hierarchy, said Hamilton. Sandra Newman gets under the skin of Big Brother's world in a completely convincing way, which is both true to the original, but also gives dramatically different narrative to stand alongside the original. Yeah, because now it's from a woman's perspective. In conclusion to his promotion of the upcoming novel, Hamilton attempted to inspire excitement in the release by claiming that millions of readers who have been brought up with Orwell's 1984 will find this a provocative and satisfying companion. Possibly better than the original because it features a woman. Julia is set to release sometime after Newman's next novel, The Men, which sees everyone with a Y chromosome vanish from the world. Oh, you mean Y the Last Man? Yeah, cool. Hits shelves next June. However, given the men's subject matter, it's possible Julia may never see the light of day, as it remains to be seen whether or not Newman's contract survives the inevitable gauntlet of biology-denying outrage that led to the cancellation of the similarly themed Y the Last Man's live-action television adaptation. Of course, as noted above, the mere concept of rewriting the story from Julia's perspective flies in the face of Orwell's warning of a fascistic future. After all, in the world of Oceania as described in the novel, every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, history has stopped. So, yeah, I think this is yet another remake effort, except they're doing it with classic books now. Oh, you're reading 1984. Well, that's subversive literature. So we're going to rewrite it from a feminist perspective that shows that it's not that bad. And how dare you think so poorly of this oversight, heavy-handed regime, you dirty, filthy, wrong thinker. I think this is actually way more dangerous than people think it will be, because this is going to possibly lead to people misunderstanding what 1984 was about. And if they were being really sneaky, what they would do is stop publishing 1984 and make sure that you read this book instead. Like, say this is better, and they just take it out of print. Yeah, I could see that happening, quite frankly, these days. It wouldn't be that big of a stretch. Yeah. My throat's killing me. It's 1984. Everyone's oppressed. What's the point of talking about female oppression? Because women are most affected when everyone is oppressed. Oh, yeah, Big Brother will be described like Trump. So, yeah, I do not like this at all. I think this is not only stupid, but it's potentially damaging to the legitimacy of a work like 1984, and will only damage the longevity of the work and the importance of the work. Yeah, Peter, you're not wrong. They did accidentally kind of give away. But now if they do a feminist version of it, they could stop talking about 1984 and start talking about Julia. Yeah, is it 1984 already about feminism? You'd think so. Yeah, Cougar Knife. I think this is dangerous precedent. But we're seeing this sort of thing a lot. They want to redo books like Tom Sawyer and take out the N word and replace it with something else and rename characters, that sort of thing. They're doing in real time revisions that are exactly what they talked about in 1984. That sucks being right, Cougar Knife. It really does. Only impressive because the government is made of men. Yeah, with their evil penises. So you can't trust the penis bearer. The penis is good. Guns are good. All right, here we go with the slightly more lighthearted but still annoying story from Kotaku. YouTuber hit with 150 copyright claims for reviews featuring anime footage. YouTuber Mark Fitzpatrick of Totally Not Mark has made a name for himself with his manga and anime videos on YouTube. His reviews add together montages from whatever he's reviewing or critiquing as he expounds on his thoughts in voiceover. Mark says his use of copyrighted material is fair. Toei Animation, it seems, disagrees and has filed copyright claims on 150 of his videos. Japan does not have fair use laws. So anything they see that you're using of theirs is automatically going to get hit. But Forehead Girl gets away with it? Yeah. How's it going, monkey? Obey the cock. Yes. This is why I don't review manga on the channel. It's behind a paywall on my Patreon on the rare occasions that I actually review them. And those will never be monetized because they're for the supporters. So, this is why this guy's getting hit, because there's no fair use over there, and if he's making any money off of it, they're going to try and claim it. Over the last 24 hours, I've sat back in disbelief, shock, and sorrow as my life's work has been unfairly ripped away from me, begins Mark in his response video to Toy and YouTube, which, as of this writing, has over 400,000 views. Yeah, they don't care, dude. You're fucked. And everybody has been warning about this for a while, and very few people listen. They're like, oh, no, they can't do anything. Look, YouTube is a global company. They only care about their corporate money and interests. They don't give a shit about you or your YouTube channel. And they do that because they have to have their platforms in these countries. And if Japan says we don't like this, they're going to listen. Totally Not Mark is a popular anime YouTuber. I guess that's a thing. With well over 500,000 subscribers. Probably not for much longer. He has concentrated on Dragon Ball. There's your big mistake right there. But here are other examples of Mark's reviews, like Attack on Titan, JoJo, whatever that is. 2 nights ago, I received an email notifying me that 15 of my videos had been copyright claimed and blocked by Toei Animation. Mark continues. 1 hour later, that number rose to 28, and when I woke up this morning, it reached a total of 150 videos that my audience could no longer see and that I could no longer monetize. All the videos in question were either Dragon Ball or One Piece, both of which Toei animates. Note that a handful of those videos did not feature any anime clips, but were rather how to draw explainers. They don't care. because you're drawing their character, they assume it's theirs. Disney does that shit too, but on a much less noticeable scale than what the Japanese do. Because they, at least with Disney, they understand fair use laws, but Japan doesn't even grasp the concept of it. They don't care. For context, Mark explained that because he and his team work on a video for a week, the 150 blocked videos are equal to nearly 3 years worth of work. As a result, the main source of my company's income is now gone, said Mark, adding that he has a family to provide for and employees to look after. These are certainly valid and immediate concerns. Also, according to Mark, Toei has apparently asked him to do promotional work for them in the past, which would make these strikes all the more alarming for him. Yeah, well, you should have known that carpet was getting yanked out at some point. In response, Mark says that he ensures that he and his employees adhere to policy regarding fair dealings and fair use outlined by YouTube, his own country, and other countries. This may be true. However, copyright laws in Japan is different. I'm no lawyer, but an attorney, Kenji Sugamaya, explained in a presentation at Fordham University, Japanese copyright law does not have a general fair use provision like the United States. A lot of countries don't. That's why you have to be careful using anything of theirs. Instead, Japan has moral rights for any type of work. What's-his-face notes that while Japanese copyright law does lack a general fair use provision, there are certain legal cutouts to allow for parody or private use, as well as for reproductions for schools and libraries, which he is none of. He is not doing parodies. He is drawing the characters or talking about their stuff and showing clips or images. And that is still a violation of Japanese copyright law, which is going to get him struck. He's lucky he still has a channel, quite frankly. Cited reproduction in articles on current events are also permitted, but he's not doing that either. So here's a list of some of their ones. The author shall have the right to offer to make available to the public his work which has not yet been made public. The author shall have the right to determine whether his true name or pseudonym shall be indicated. The author shall have the right to preserve integrity of his work and its title against any distortion, manipulation, or other modification against his will. The last point is important. In Japan, the author has a tremendous amount of control over how their work is presented. So conceivably, if an author doesn't want their work shown in a certain way, say on YouTube, then they would apparently have legal standing in Japan to contest that. Looking closer at the law, it's evident that the authors have vast control over how their work is reproduced, presented, transmitted, adapted, and exhibited. The rights of copyright holders are so strong in Japan that it often hinders the re-release of old games, which is why proposed legislation has looked to rectify the specific problem. As for Mark, the issue here would be which country's copyright laws applies and the way YouTube handles copyright claims. We all know how that's going to play out. He's boned. Some of Mark's supporters say that the video platform's copyright system is broken. No. Maybe it does need an overhaul, and maybe there should be more leeway for YouTube creators. It's not going to happen. YouTube makes a lot of money off of places like Toei and news media, stuff like that. They're going to bow to the big companies to garner goodwill. And he's just some YouTuber. I don't care how many YouTube subscribers he's got. They will not bow to him. And he's violating Japanese law technically by monetizing it especially. That's probably why they got him. But yeah, they want that money. So they're going to get it. And unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do about it. Have a good one, Monkey. Thanks for stopping by, man. Is it the same as streaming the Dragon Ball games, or do they consider that the same? That's a trickier area because those are licensed out to other studios, so it kind of depends. If you're playing the Japanese version, yeah, you could absolutely get hit. But I don't know. I really don't know. That's why I don't touch a lot of the Japanese stuff, at least not on my channel videos. Those go behind the paywall. Because then I'm not monetizing them. There's no ads on anything that I put on the Patreon. Did Japan make a surprise attack on his channel on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor? Not cool, Japan. Yeah, because this is from today. So yeah, they lived in infamy. Well, technically, Peter, their claim, because it is Japan, because he's showing their work, that supersedes anything that he is saying over it, because he is still showing it without permission. And fairness doesn't apply. So yeah, this guy's pretty well boned. If unless YouTube says no, you can do it because the U.S. law says you can. So yeah, I think he's pretty well fucked. But yeah, that sucks. That's a lot of work, but that's the price you pay. You don't want to monetize it. If they want to claim it, monetize it, fine. But don't try and monetize a video of their stuff, because they will absolutely come looking. Good stream earlier. I'll need to rewatch later. Oh, cool. Yeah, so this guy's pretty well boned. And it sucks for him because, yeah, he's got a family and whatnot, but you really need to familiarize yourself a little bit with copyright law before you start doing like how to draws and stuff like that. Because usually your drawing stuff is fine, but again, you could be violating the copyright if it's a foreign work. And there's other countries that have these laws too, so don't think that just because you're using Afghanistan animation, you're off the hook. Because people like money and they will come looking. Yeah, I mean, what I found to be one of the weirdest articles of the past 10 days. This is from Fox News. Search warrant executed at Marilyn Manson's West Hollywood home. He's facing allegations of no touching and assault. Marilyn Manson has been visited by authorities in West Hollywood. A source confirmed to Fox News that deputies from the LA Sheriff's Department visited the 52-year-old rocker's California home, serving a search warrant. The exact reason for the warrant was unclear, but TMZ reported that officers raided the property in a search related to Manson's ongoing no touching investigations. The outlet reported that the Beautiful People musician was not at home at the time, leading authorities to force entry. He's not aging well, by the way. Police seized media storage units, including hard drives from the property, according to TMZ. The hard drives will be reviewed before the case is submitted to the LA County District Attorney. Fox News has reached out to the LASD and Manson's attorney for comment. Manson has been accused of no touching by multiple women. Earlier this year, a Jane Doe sued the musician, not magician, for for no assault and no battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress. In her suit, the accuser alleged the rocker, born Brian Warner, forcibly no touched her and also subjected her to further degrading acts of no exploitation, manipulation, and psychological abuse. Sounds like a hell of a weekend. The lawsuit was dismissed over the statute of limitations. As it says right here in this, days before the Jane Doe suit was filed, Manson's former assistant, Ashley Walters, sued her former employer, alleging no touching, battery, and harassment. Game of Thrones actress Esme Bianco has also sued the musician for no touching, trafficking, and abuse. Similarly, actress Evan Rachel Wood, who previously engaged the rocker, accused him of abuse and grooming. So he's got some pretty crazy allegations here. I didn't know about any of this, but it does explain why he hasn't been around lately. What the fuck? I always thought he was strange. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how true this is. Is shit music illegal now? No, but apparently forcing chicks to do stuff is still legal. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet some of this is bullshit or exaggerated, but who knows? Hollywood people are fucking weirdos. Some of these chicks are pretty hot, so I don't know. I am intrigued by the one lawsuit that by his former employee, because that's kind of a strange one. So yeah, that's pretty weird. So that's what's up with Marilyn Manson. In case you were wondering what happened with the beautiful people. Yeah, he is kind of a weirdo. See, that's the problem. If you project yourself as a weirdo all the time, people are just going to assume bad things about you. I know, Peter. I wouldn't have expected that from him. He seemed like such a nice, quiet boy. Yeah, and Lizzo and Cardi B and all those other people, perfectly fine. You're not wrong, Frosted. That probably is part of the problem. I don't know, Ori, because some of those claims were, allegations of grooming. Thanks, Monkey. So how does this all relate to the size of a steeple? Well, I think some people found out about his steeple. All right, I got 2 articles left, and we'll wrap it up. We're going way longer than I expected to. So we'll talk about the news that I'm most interested in. And that's from Billboard. And I know you're thinking, but Jack, this isn't a music channel. I don't care, because it's about a sexy Asian. One of my favorite sexy Asians, Blackpink's Rose, can now tell you a bedtime story with her new partnership. And I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. Now, if her and Lisa were both doing it, oh my God. Ooh. The story titled Grounded with Rose is available to stream now. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jack, you are a dirty pervert. She's almost half your age. And I'm thinking, that doesn't matter. And here's my Streamlabs link. Look at her. She's adorable. Blackpink's Rose is using her vocal talents in a brand new way. On Tuesday, December 7th, a day that shall live in infamy, the K-pop star took to Instagram to announce that she has collaborated with popular meditation and sleep app Calm for her very own bedtime story titled Grounded with Rose, which is available now. I've been dying to share this exciting news with all of you, but I finally get to tell you I have my very own sleep story out now on Calm. The singer shared, I started using Calm almost 2 years ago, and it's helped me get a comfortable good night's sleep every single time. I can help with that. I literally dreamed of recording my own version someday, so thank you, Calm, for having me join in this fun project. I certainly won't be able to fall asleep to my own story just yet. Still getting used to hearing my own talking voice. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. She has a sexy Australian accent, too. Rose added, I hope you all enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think. But most importantly, I hope it makes you all knock out. The Blackpink member is the latest celebrity voice to partner with Calm. In July, the app announced a partnership with Harry Styles. Nobody cares. And they've also had others such as Kelly Rowland, LeBron James, Laura Dern, Lucy Liu, Matthew McConaughey. Oh, who cares about these people? Rose's more important than any of them. The 24-year-old most recently released her first solo EP, R, which contained singles On the Ground and Gone via YG and Interscope in March. On the Ground hit the #1 spot in the Billboard Global 200 and the Billboard Global Exclusive US chart, while Gone reached number 29 and number 17 on the charts, respectively. Hi. Narrated by Rose. Yeah. So that's the thing that happened. It made me very happy. Almost as happy as the thing I got in the mail the other day, which is going to be the 1000th video for Roll for Sanity, which will be a patron exclusive. It's a toy. That's why it's on the patron. But it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. Good to hear she's using that throat, right? Look at that beautiful girl. I'm more of a age half full guy. She's 24. I'm not that old yet. thankfully. So yeah, but oh man, she's so cute. She has such a cute voice. Now her and Lisa have to team together and do a story just for me, and then I will be a very happy pervert. I mean, man. So I had to share that because beautiful Asian babies are the things that make me happy. And now let's get on to the best story of the night that is for your entertainment and not my personal perversions. And that is from Dicebreaker. And my mouse vanished. All right. Coyote and Crow RPG is a joyous, respectful celebration of Native American storytelling in a world without colonialism. That's right, kids. We got an RPG once again decolonizing the world. Man, look at that smug fucking picture by this guy. Oh my god. Ugh. What is this hideous outfit she's wearing? What is that? What am I looking at here? By imagining a future where colonization never occurred, Coyote and Crow allows indigenous Americans to become the heroes of their own stories. Well, if it was never colonized, it's not America, is it? It's probably the Iroquois Nation. Native American built tabletop RPG, Coyote and Crow, is well designed and fascinating look into an alternate history where colonialism never occurred. In that fictional interim, indigenous Americans bloomed into a technologically and spiritually miraculous society, blending mysticism, tradition, and science into a fantastical setting by some genuinely fun mechanics. So the people that hadn't invented the wheel are now technologically advanced. How? I'm sorry. I know I have some Indian listeners out there. I'm sorry, but the majority of the tribes were very, very primitive. I mean, the Mayans and Aztecs collapsed. The few semi advanced civilizations had all fallen apart by this point. No antibiotics and lots of tribal wars. Yeah. Yeah. If you were talking tribal warfares, yeah. I mean, this would be great as a straight up fantasy setting, but what they're describing is American Wakanda. Exactly, Faithless. It's like you read my fucking mind. Savages are noble as fuck. Yeah. So a bunch of Native Americans killing each other and dying from disease. Well, not the diseases they had, but the ones that the Westerners brought. Fortitude save against smallpox is very high DC. Jesus. Players take on the role of inhabitants of the territory of Mekka, which sits across North America. Mekka is home to a society that began recreating itself after the Wisi or Darkest Night, in which a meteor struck the Earth and caused catastrophic climate change. Oh, they work climate change in. Awesome. And a natural disaster. It's like the 70s coalesced into a big bundle of stupid. Thanks to a mysterious force perhaps brought on by the meteor called a dandy, indigenous Americans survived the initially harsh long winters and eventually thrived, making massive advancements in technology and creating new nations. Sure, we'll roll with that. Coyote and Crow's world building section gives prospective game masters called story guides. In this instance, plenty of work to work with, but focus primarily on the city of Cahokia, a central hub of trade and culture amid Mekka 5 collective nations. Players are invited to build their own legend in a post-scarcity world rooted in indigenous tradition. In a particularly inspired bit of world building, the game's currency, Nizzy, is made from corn-based synthetic strips. This isn't a stereotype at all. Because, hemp didn't grow in the United States or anything similar, or, cotton. The game is a breath of fresh air and a hobby where the closest I get to representation usually ends up being whatever culturally slurry writers have used to create their settings. Orcs. No, not true at all. By imagining a world where colonization never occurred, Coyote and Crow doesn't treat indigenous Americans as victims or fodder for cultural allegories. Analogs can't fucking read, but rather the heroes of their own stories. You could always do that. What are you talking about? Just because it says fighter doesn't always mean it's European fighter. You can write your own fucking campaign setting. Stop being lazy. Moreover, Coyote and Crow bolts all this to a solid mechanical structure that reminds me of a gentler Shadowrun. In more ways than one, given that the setting's use of Native American mysticism as a catalyst for the return of magic, the game utilizes a D12 dice pool system to reconcile its various skills and stat checks, and echoes of Shadowrun's character building can be found in Coyote and Crow's method of creating derived stats and garnering extra points for those stats. Take, for example, the Gifts and Burdens system. That would sort of be like feats, maybe? During the character creation system, players are given 5 points to spend on gifts, mutable story-focused benefits for your character that might give them access to resources, context, or wealth. Oh, you mean like advantages and disadvantages out of the hero system? Oh, yeah, that's original. The game broadly ranks these gifts from level 1, minor to trivial things such as an acquaintance in a government position. This is ripped off right out of GURPS and the hero system. To level 3, which might be access to flying machines through a cousin's mechanic shop. You mean the pseudo-indigenous flying machines from, like, I don't know, Princess of Mars? 5 points is a sufficient. Characters can take on burdens, which ranks it's right out of GURPS. Speaking of distribution, Coyote and Crow features a suite of 9 major character abilities and uses a point buy system to derive their initial values. Strength, intelligence. Yeah, this is not new. This is a lot of different games. Players use a similar process for their skills. Yeah, again, like a lot of other games. Did you only ever play D&D, writer person? An in-depth aspect of character creation can be the game put a focus on backstories. Blah, 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 blah. This blend of philosophies. It's rules light storytelling. So, yeah, it's focused on the story. This blend of philosophy is somewhere between hypercrunch of more intensive systems like Shadowrun and the rules light narrative focused nature of Powered by the Apocalypse. Works in Coyote and Crow's favor. Yeah, it did that in Hell on Earth too, the Deadlands future one. As someone who has previously bounced off the above systems, I found creating the character and rolling through some of this hypothetical situations that included adventure both intuitive and fun. It sounds annoying. All right, now I'm intrigued. It's available in PDF. Let's jump over to the off-screen screen. That sentence made lots of sense. Good job, Jack. It's only 3 a.m. We always lived in the Black Hills. Rolls of bluff check. All right. That gave me an archive link. That was helpful. All right, hang on. I'm gonna look this shit up real quick. So let's take this down for a second and see what we can find. Watch me get a fucking virus from this stupid fucking thing. Site can't be reached. That's productive. This is a new article too, so what the fuck's going on? I am intrigued by this because, I mean, this could be really cool if they were doing like a fantasy game based in like pre-Columbus America. That could be really cool. But that's not what they're doing. They have to do the, oh, look how advanced they'd be if it wasn't for evil Whitey popping in. And that's just really stupid. Yeah, that site doesn't exist. That link is dead link. That's fucking dumb. All right, let's check Amazon. Coyote and Crow RPG. I don't see it on Amazon. All right, there's a .net link. All right. Okay, the PDF is $25. I'm not paying $25 for that. That's fucking stupid. But there's a link if you want to look at that more. That's just for the PDF. You know, I could buy a good RPG for that much money, like a used one. Go find an old copy of Rifts or something. That's a much better game. This website sucks, too. Like, it's boring to look at. Core Rules PDF is launched. It's available for purchase. They have a Discord. They have a YouTube channel. I don't know. I mean, it could be fun if you got the right group, but I wouldn't want to play with any of the fucking losers that were just described in that article, because that guy sounded like a real dumbass who's only ever played D&D and Shadowrun. Yeah, I have no interest in this. This looks really terrible. PDFs, just like our ancestors. Yeah, if you really wanted to make it authentic, you'd have all the rules would have to be recited orally because you have no written word. Yeah, and again, this pisses me off because if you're an Indian from one of the North American or South American tribes, this is the type of shit that makes you look bad. Like, it would be cool to play a native warrior. Fine, that would be a lot of fun. You play a shaman. Played a shaman in D&D before. It was fun. But to do this decolonization bullshit is just stupid. And it's a little bit of a slap in the face. No, I don't think Elizabeth Warren's in it. But, I mean, could you ever have American Indian characters that aren't walking stereotypes? Hey, Useless, how you doing, man? Yeah, like if you want to play a shape-shifting character, that'd be really cool. Like the Werewolf, the Apocalypse characters, they had some really cool tribal shaman types that were really badass. That sort of thing was cool because it paid homage to the lore and the mythologies, but it wasn't a stereotype. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not an Indian, so I don't know how I would feel about this, but it seems to be a little bit mocking, quite frankly. But if you want to read this article, I'll drop it in chat. I'll drop the original link. Do you remember a tabletop RPG that was so advanced that you had to know basic trig to play it, or some other high level math? I remember. Shit, what's the name of that game? There was an advanced fantasy game by Steve Jackson. I don't remember the name of it. It was like Fantasy Trip, I think. That one looked really complicated. And then there was Middle Earth Roleplay, Chart Master. Everyone called it. It was by ICE. That one had an insane amount of math. It'd take you 20 minutes to figure out if you even could swing at something, much less hit it. I'm not reading that, Frosted. Yeah, Skinwalkers. Yeah, there's a lot of cool native lore like Wendigos, Bigfoot, Wild Men, Coyote, the Thunderbirds. There's lots of really cool lore that you could do with that instead of just making it stupid or a stereotype. Like, you got to make it into American Wakanda. It's fucking dumb. You could do something really cool with, even like Old West. You could do some really cool stuff. Something that would take a lot of thought to model, like how technology would get in and how it'd be used, how it developed so many variables. Yeah, that's true. Tombs of the Dead was a sword and sorcery setting taking place in North America and had Vikings and Atlantis. Oh, that sounds cool. Never heard of that one. Not off the top of my head. Is that a newer one? I haven't played in a while. Viking Dead, Tomes of the Dead, Empire of Salt. Never heard of this. Covers look cool, though. Are these just novels? 16 books in the series? Yeah, these are novels. Okay. Yeah, those look pretty cool. That'd be good source material. Yeah, you could do like the Viking settlement on Greenland. That could be really fun. I think that was an Atari game, Frosted, and it was a really naughty one. Oh, it's a Savage World setting. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, this looks pretty badass. Anything with Vikings and like badass warriors always strikes my interest. And that's why when I first saw this Coyote and Crow thing, I thought that could be cool, but they had to make it stupid. And like, oh, look at how amazing Wakanda, the tribes would be if evil Christopher Columbus never showed up. You could have like interesting stories where like the tribes have to team up with Cortez's men or something. He's out looking for the Fountain of Youth or whatever, and they come across some evil scheming shaman or something. They could be really badass. But yeah, this just sounds like it's more lazy lefty nonsense. So yeah, I'm gonna take note of this Home with the Dead thing. I'm gonna look into that. But it always disappoints me when we see stuff like this, though. It's like there's so much potential for good storytelling there, and then they have to shit all over it with their lunatic politics stuff. Deadlands had a scenario for that too. Yeah, Deadlands had some really awesome stuff. That's a very, very underrated game. I still have my book that I bought at like Origins. I think it's got an award symbol on it. It's around here somewhere. But I like Deadlands. Played that a lot. We played regular Deadlands and Hell on Earth with this group that I was in college with, and it was pretty fun. I never got to play the Alien one they did, where it was like Deadlands in space, but that one was a lot of fun. Yeah. Ponce de Leon. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck if I care. But yeah, it was Ponce de Leon, I think. Deadlands? You never heard of Deadlands? Really? Oh, dude, hang on. They have a expensive edition that just came out. It's Weird West. There's a couple different variations. The box set looks really badass. It's like $70 right now on Amazon. There's like a regular edition too, but I always look for the box sets because I'm an old nerd. Yeah, it did. BG, they did it right. They did a really good job, I thought, anyway. Osprey makes a ton of games. I haven't seen any woke nonsense in it. Oh, that's good. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap up there. Check out Deadlands if you get a chance. It's a good game. Call of Cthulhu is a better one, but there's a lot of really cool ideas in Deadlands. And it doesn't take itself overly seriously. You can play that way, I guess, but you don't have to. The Call of Cthulhu has a starter set that's only $25. The hardcover is down to $39, I think. So you can check that out too. But give it a look, see what you think. But thank you so much for coming out and supporting the channel, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll be back on track for doing these on a semi-regular basis again. And I appreciate everybody coming out and watching and listening to me just ramble because I'm pretty tired. So it's getting kind of rambly. And as always, you guys are awesome. Like, share, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And do something exciting so I can pretend I did it. But thanks for all the support, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.